All right. So putting your summer to work. If any of you have questions while we're talking, feel free to type it into the chat. I'm going to kind of try to monitor that while we're talking. I don't mind if you unmute yourself and ask questions as well. This is not a hugely long presentation, but I do want to make sure to answer people's questions at the end. So thinking about this presentation and when I started to put it together, one of the things that we were really looking at the first time we presented this was during COVID, and a lot of people's internships had gotten canceled. A lot of things were happening that were out of our students' control. We were trying to put together some recommendations for someone to be able to still use the summer to develop professionally. So I've adapted this a bit now that things have opened up in some ways where your internships are both in person and remote. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, but also some other things that you can do if you are not going to be working an internship this summer. So the summer can provide that opportunity to build your skills, your competencies. So even if whatever position or whatever you're doing over the summer seems unrelated to your next steps, it can be something that you can relate and you can also put on your resume in a good way. So, all right, so thinking about that, if you have been to our center, hopefully you've seen this. If you haven't, I'm happy to introduce to you the 9 core competencies that are skills that are developed over time. So we've done a lot of work with the National Association of Colleges and Employers, the recruiters that come to campus, the people that look at our students for graduate and professional school, and even internship supervisors, to try to determine what they're looking for in their student applicants for whatever position they're trying to get into. And they know that Clemson students are pretty academically gifted and that you can learn skills for a position. The 9 core competencies are essentially transferable skills that are developed over time. And so if you keep these in mind as you are experiencing things, whether it is academic or other experiences, and think about how you want to develop further in each of these competency areas, you're going to find that talking to an employer about that makes you a little bit more marketable. Talking to a recruiter or talking to someone who's looking at you for grad school, they're going to want to know about your critical thinking skills, your analytical skills, and the communication skill can be it can be something you can learn and develop over time, even in customer service roles. So keep these in mind as we talk about different experiences, and then think about how you want to grow in these areas. And when you are experiencing them, having examples of when you have grown. And that's really going to help you, I hope, in your next steps. So the next thing I want to talk about is that self-reflection and awareness piece. So if you have a break, which most students don't have much of a break, but it's a good time to reflect on your work and your career development plans. You know, one of the things that a lot of students will tell me when they do come in for career counseling, there's a couple of things that come up. Some are looking at, they know exactly what they want to do. They just need to know how to get there. But a lot of students are dealing with major choice, or they know their major, but they don't know what kind of occupation they want to relate to that. So when you think about taking career-related assessments, these are assessments that can help look at your interests in relation to the world of work. So there are many different assessments out there. A couple that we offer here are the ONET Profiler, the Strong Interest Inventory, and then also not on here is the Type Focus. Type Focus is similar to the MBTI or the 16 personalities, but there is a bit of a cost for MBTI, so we offer Type Focus if you're interested in that. When you are looking at yourself and thinking about your next steps, a lot of times it helps to really clarify what you're interested in. You know, if you don't know exactly what that means in the world of work, there are a lot of different resources that our team can help you with. So I'm going to show you at the end of this how to get in touch with us for appointments and drop-ins and the like. So we have a YouTube channel. This will be posted on the YouTube channel after we get it completed. But there are other major workshops for you to take a look at and kind of help you with major exploration. Dining etiquette is just kind of the fun one where you get to know how to react in a networking situation where there's food involved, and then connecting personalities to career. There's also plenty of things on resumes and cover letters, interviewing skills, and many of the previous workshops have employers leading them as well. Another good thing to do this summer is to go ahead and review your professional documents. And sometimes students don't have a whole lot of time during the academic year to do this. So I recommend that you get your resume updated at least once a year, if not after every semester. The reason for that is most recent experiences, you're going to be able to really articulate those in a better way than if you wait till the end of your college career to try to remember what you did in your freshman year that was really relevant to something that you want to get into. So updating your experiences, whether it was work, whether it was shadowing, class projects, leadership, creative inquiries, just about anything that you've done while you're in college could relate to your next steps. Writing cover letters is kind of a trick. It's not the easiest thing to do, and it takes some practice. So even if you're not applying for anything, it's kind of good to go ahead and practice. Start looking at how you can iterate to someone that you're a good fit for the industry and that position is a good match for your skills. If you don't quite know how to get started with that, we have some tip sheets and some things that you can do. But the first thing you might want to do is have your resume updated and pull a position description for a job that you might want in the future. That helps you really tailor it down to what experiences and point to the experiences that you think are really going to speak to the employer or to the professional school that you're applying to. So if you have, and they're hard to write. So if you have trouble with that, we're here to help you with that as well. One thing that summers are typically used for are internships, and we recommend internship if you are able. Now, if you are taking summer classes, it might be difficult. If you do need to just work for the company or the house or the family, if you're doing a lot of things like that, you can do that. But sometimes it's really helpful to start looking for an internship, whether it's in your field or closely related to your field. We have internships posted in Clemson Job Link, Career Shift, and then our website has an entire internship tab where you can find some electronic resources to start searching for what's out there. I do recommend that you don't only use the internet to search for internships. You might use it, and then within your network, you can find some experiences as well. Internships provide a great deal of experience to help clarify and sometimes help you decide that's not what you want to do. So keep in mind, even if you don't love your internship, you're gaining experience and skills related to those competencies, and then your next one can maybe be a little different. If you're not able to travel, if you need to be at home, there are still some remote and virtual internship sites to take a look at. And in Clemson Job Link, we have a remote option. You can search remotely. These two sites, they're not connected to Clemson, but they do have quite a few internship opportunities to take a look at that are remote and virtual. And the experiences can be very robust. You just have to make sure that it's a good fit and that you're actually doing something, not just going through training modules. That's not always the easiest, but these sites have some good information. And I can send this to the attendees so you guys can take a look at those sites at your leisure. So when you start thinking about it, if remote is better for you so that you can continue with whatever you're doing, that's an opportunity to take a look at. Along the lines of internships, don't forget about the on-campus internship program called UPIC. There are still some summer and fall positions open in Clemson Job Link. So these are some of the requirements, but these internships are paid. They are usually part-time for people who are in school, but if you can do one of the full times, you're welcome to apply for that. You have mentors that are assigned to you as a UPIC intern, and we have vetted these internships. These are not just I'm going to get coffee internships. These are internships designed to help you gain those professional skills, to gain those competencies, and we provide a lot of support while you're at it. So if you have a consideration or are looking at these and have some questions, I'd be glad to try to help you with that. Don't forget, it's in Clemson Job Link. Just type in UPIC and it'll pull up the positions that are still posted for the summer and the fall. If you're not interested or just can't take on a new role like an intern, you can learn some new skills. So again, thinking about positions that you might want in the future, pulling those position descriptions and see what skills, technical skills, certifications, competencies, what are they looking for in your field, and find a class that'll help you develop those skills. There's some online Obviously, there's a cost to most of them, but don't forget about the CCIT website. There's some virtual training for faculty, staff, and students that you, as a student, have the ability to get. And you can even become certified in certain things. So don't forget CCIT. Sometimes I tell students to start there because it's included in your student IT fees. But there are other sites like Udemy, I've heard it called many things, Skillshare, and great courses. So anything that you can do to learn new skills will help when you're adding that to your resume. It can be a nice way to round out your summer experience. If you want to get into research, a lot of students feel like they have to find a research position. Many times a professor might let you volunteer to help with summer research. They need a lot of help in these research labs. They are really working hard to provide experiences, but also results. So if you have a professor in the field that you have an interest in helping, it doesn't hurt to approach them and ask if they have a position. But if they don't have a position and you still want to gain the skills, ask if you can volunteer a few hours a week just to get your foot in the door. It's really worth continuing to try if you are interested in research. Creative inquiry is a great way to get your research skills down, whether it's related to your field or not. There are a lot of creative inquiries. It's on the website and it's linked here as well. That's something that's unique to Clemson. It's called creative inquiry. And if you've done one, you know the value of it. If you haven't, I strongly encourage taking a look at it. If you are someone who wants to kind of have a side gig, side hustle, as they call them, back in the day, we used to just call it freelance. But think about your skills and what you're pretty good at, whether it's related to the field or not. Find a way to make that work for you. If you're taking a few classes but still want to have a side gig, go ahead and start putting together a portfolio showcasing what you've done. If it's something that's a tangible, like if you are producing a product, or if you want to just kind of gain those skills of writing, if you want to do social media influencing, a lot of students are doing that. I'm always surprised, but they really do well with that. Mystery shopper, photographer, tutoring. If you're in education or have a desire to help people in the future, becoming a tutor can be helpful. It's a nice leadership opportunity. Virtual assistants, ride shares, shoppers, landscape, all those things are sometimes seen as less than as far as your academics. But again, you're gaining those skills, you're gaining those competencies. And if you're able to kind of do this on your own and manage it, you can kind of have that entrepreneurial mind and talk to people about what you did that really helped you along the way. And most of the time you can find a way to get paid for this. So it's not something that all students are cut out for, but if you do feel like you want to give it a try, a lot of students are successful with this. Another thing to consider during the summer is to go ahead and update your LinkedIn profile. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, we highly recommend that you start one and go ahead and start trying to get it complete so you can start using it. You can use this for a lot of different things. Many people start their connections when they're in college. So thinking about a professional profile, connecting with classmates, and sometimes students will ask me, why would I want to connect with my classmates? But think about it, in the future, they're going to be your colleagues. They're going to be the people out in the field that you might want to connect with 5 or 10 years down the line when you see a position at the company they work for. You might want to connect with them and ask them a few questions. So update your profile, finish it if you haven't, review the content and make sure it's kind of relevant to what you're hoping to get into. Think of adding things in an aspirational tone. So when you write your professional summary or kind of what they consider the about you section, is it showing what you want to get into? Are you seeking employment? Are you seeking an internship? Are you seeking certain skills? And then add the skills as you gain them, put them in there. And it's like more than a resume. You can put so much into a LinkedIn profile. You can connect work in a portfolio or a profile or a blog or just about anything you can connect to your LinkedIn profile so people can see your work. Go ahead and connect with other people than your classmates. Connect with your family members. You never know who they might be connected to that you might have an interest in talking with. Friends and alumni. You can find Clemson alumni in the field or in the major that you are in and try to make some connections, following them, kind of reviewing their profile for sparks of inspiration. And then you do want to try to work on expanding your network. And along those lines, connections. When we talk about networking, it really is developing connections and communicating with people that will help you find out more about a lot of things. Helps you with informational interviewing. And informational interviews are not when you go and ask someone for a job. They're really for you to kind of gather information about what that person knows about the field, their career path, any tips or tricks they might have for you, or what kind of experiences you should be working on so that when you get into the industry, it's going to connect with the field because they're in it. They're the ones in there working it. When you expand your network in this way, if you keep in touch with your network and they know you're looking for an opportunity, they're more than likely to keep you in mind if they hear something. Many positions, whether internships, full-time positions, or even just openings in research labs, they are not posted online automatically, and sometimes not at all. Many times they are filled through word of mouth or people who know people. So consider that when you're developing your LinkedIn and your other connections. If you need a mentor, TigerLink is a mentorship platform that Clemson University has created for students. So you're welcome to join that network and start to try to gain experiences with a mentor who will help you figure out what it is that you're doing in the field. And that can help you also build your LinkedIn network. So you can find some people that way and move along. Volunteer work. Many times you do this all to get into college, and then sometimes you forget there's still valuable things that you are learning as a volunteer. One of the main reasons to volunteer is to help other people, but it's also a great place to learn skills, build your network, your communication skills. It keeps you active and helps you learn about activities and opportunities that you might not have known about. So there are a few places, obviously, like the United Way, Volunteer Match. Most communities, if you don't know where to look, you can get in touch with the Chamber of Commerce if you're back at home, get involved with nonprofits. And in that way, you're expanding your network with other people who like to volunteer, and they may be connected to industry organizations or schools that you're interested in looking at in the future. Honestly, you can gain a network just about anywhere. You can gain a network with waiting tables, and you're waiting a table and you realize that person might be a Clemson alum or someone that's in the banking industry with a Clemson ring. There's certain ways to connect with people and build those networks to help you along the way. And volunteerism is one of those. All right, so sometimes you just have to work. There is paying bills involved. And many times finding a position in the service industry, manual labor, babysitting, office roles, that's what you got to get into because you got to have a job. And that is okay. You're still building your skills. So even if you're working in an industry that is not connected to your field or your study of interest, you will find ways to describe these in terms of those competencies, the communication, collaboration, professionalism, things that are proving that you are a good employee, so that when you do apply to a position, you can say to them, I have worked in these roles and this is what I've learned. And sometimes it's a little hard to showcase that on a resume. I was going to show you a couple of ways you could think about if you work at a restaurant or in a grocery store, and how you can make the bullet statements on your resume a little more professional in tone and a little bit more, have a little more oomph behind them. So these are a couple of examples, but when you have these skills, you talk about them in a way where you're using an active action verb to start your bullet. You're giving information about what you did, and you're adding in quantifiers or results. So if you look at these, you can see where we put in, 5 tables an hour, stock, managing the flow of 44,000 items of stock. There's just many ways to put it together that it really showcases that you've thought about how this skill relates, and it wasn't just stocking shelves. You did a lot of things of organizing, and that's a valuable skill to have in a job and as a student as well. Now, if you are thinking of going to graduate school, this is something really I like to encourage people to consider. Start early. Research schools that you're interested in. Many times on their website, you're going to see they have their own competencies. You're able to research the faculty. You can take a look at the mission statement of the school, the vision, the history of the school. Because when you go to a school, you want to know more about them. You want to know as much as you can so that you know kind of what you're getting into, but also how you fit into it. If they have a mission or a vision that you are really passionate about, that can come through when you're writing your personal statement. It can come through in your application materials. Many of the things that you add to your resume can reflect the competencies that they're looking for. So researching this, spending time, starting to write that personal statement, because there will be many iterations of it. Many times they're asking for not just a personal statement, they're asking for essay questions, statement of interest, diversity statements, just about anything where they can get a statement out of you. They're looking for it. And I would think this would be a good time if you have a little downtime to start that search. It's hard to put it all together in one semester alone, and many students wait a little bit too long. They still get through it. Many people work on that deadline, but it's nice to have an idea or a plan. And if you know there's going to be an entrance exam, you're going to want to start studying for that, or at least know more about it. What is the cost? Where will you take it? When can you take it? How long do the scores last? Things like that. You want to know this information so that when it comes down to the details, you don't have to necessarily be pushed up against a deadline. So graduate school, one thing to consider, graduate students are very busy. They need to stay organized, and this is good practice for the organizational skills that are needed once you become a graduate student if you're interested in that. One other opportunity that's through our office I wanted to mention is a professional development certificate program. So I talked a minute ago about opportunities to gain skills. Our Career Ready Tiger Professional Development Certificate program this summer, it includes 7 presentations that are given throughout the summer with these different topics. We have a few others. And students who want to do this, you can apply. Like I said, I'll send this out if you decide you're interested. I'll send it out this afternoon, and you can use this form to apply. But you must attend 4 of the presentations and then schedule at least 1 hour appointment at the conclusion to review materials to the presentation. You can attend more than 4, and you can have more than one hour appointment, but this is what we feel like would be the minimum that you would need to gain this particular certificate. If for some reason you can't do this, no problem. I just like to make sure our students know that we put together some things to try to help you add things to your resume, but also considering some of the things that are really relevant to students as they're moving into their next steps in their career. Interviewing, benefits and salary. That's something that until you get it in front of you, sometimes it's a whole mess. You don't understand all of it until it's right in front of you. And even then it can be a lot. Building your side hustle. One of our old or previous graduate assistants has several side hustles. So she's going to come talk about that. Polishing your professional image, mentorship. We'll have some employers that are coming in to talk as well. So just consider it. It's not a necessity, but it is something that we put together to try to help students who still want to add something, but maybe working full-time in an internship, or having to, be a caretaker. So those are a few things that I would recommend for your summer to kind of put it to work for you. You might be working hard, but sometimes that can work for you and benefit. If you're interested in attending any of our drop-ins or appointments, this is how you get into it. Drop-ins are in the afternoons, 1:30 to 3:45. Those are in person and virtually. If you're interested in just hopping on virtually, you can get on our website and start the chat, and someone will get back with you with the Zoom link, or just come through. We're on the 3rd floor of the Hendricks Center, starting at 1:30 till 3:45. We can talk to you for a couple, 10, 15 minutes, sometimes a little longer if there are not a lot of folks waiting, about several things, and we can get quite a bit accomplished in that time. But if you're looking at a career, major choice, mock interview, or strong interest inventory results, we typically need an appointment. So to get an appointment, you can just email the CU Career Center at gmail.com, and one of our staff members will get you an appointment. We're not currently set up on CU Navigate for appointments, so this is the way that we've managed to kind of handle the need for appointments, but we're glad to help in any way we can. If you have an interest in following us, mainly Instagram has most of our information pushed out weekly. If you might have seen this being pushed out, you might see some things like the headshots that we have on campus. We post when we're out on campus giving headshots. You're welcome to use that resource. We also do those here, different workshops that'll be coming up, and then just information about employer spotlights. And we already have our career fair set for next semester in the fall. If you want to mark your calendars for September, I think it's 20th through 22nd. Just want to make sure to get that on your calendar if you're looking for internship or full-time position for the next year. So I'm going to stop sharing just to see if anyone has any questions. I know that's kind of a brief presentation, but I just wanted to make sure there was time. If anyone has any questions, you can type it in the chat or unmute yourself. And I am actually going to put our little survey in the chat. So if you do have to hop off, you can just open that and fill that out after you do. So does anyone have any questions?